It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back, welcome back. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday evening. Welcome back to our nightly newsletter. Today is the 11th day of the 6th month of the year 2014, June 11th, 2014. Welcome back to our nightly newsletter here, boys and girls. Markets were sleepy, sloppy, and very balanced today, weren't they? We have an exciting newsletter for you guys in store this evening. First, we're going to talk about what happened today. Gold jumps higher, pulls back a little bit, so gold rising higher. Russell grinding lower, right? We're still waiting for the other shoe to drop on the Russell. And crude completely balanced today, even in the face of inventories. So we're going to start today by looking at some charts and seeing what happened today on the charts. Then, step number 2, we're going to grab the news for tomorrow, take a look at the news in store for tomorrow. We get some big news tonight out of Australia. We go into Japan tomorrow morning. We get some big Red Star news tomorrow morning in Europe. And finally, we get some big Red Star news in the U.S., right? Last week was non-farm payrolls, so the first few days this week was pretty empty. So we got some big news in store for us starting tonight. And then you know how it always goes. At the end of the session tonight, we're going to roll up our sleeves, we're going to grab some charts, and I'm going to give you guys some specific strategies to capitalize on all of our favorite markets no matter what happens tomorrow morning. Alrighty? You ready to rock and roll? Let's get started. Now before we jump into charts here this afternoon, I want to remind you all to get over to sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching this video right now on our YouTube page, there's a link right below the video. Make sure you follow that link below the video. Get over to sidewaysmarkets.com. There are 3 important things on our blog at Sideways Markets. First, right below the video here this afternoon, we've got your download link. Download all the charts for tonight's newsletter. And what I would do if I were in your shoes, I would join me tomorrow morning in the trade room, and we're going to use those levels tomorrow morning in my live trade room. We're going to take those charts, we're going to use those levels to profit tomorrow morning. So if you're a member of mine, if you're a member of School of Trade, pause the video, go right below the video, download today's charts and all the commentary, and be with me tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when we open the room. If you're not a member, you can still use these charts. Just be aware, I provide real-time entry and exit information using all these newsletter charts the following day in our trade rooms. Come out and join me. The second thing I want to remind you about is in the upper left-hand corner. We have a free pass for you today to come out and join our live trade room any afternoon this week. I'm going to open up the trade room this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. We'll open up the trade room for all of our guests, right? All of our trial members. Take me up on this offer. You're going to learn more in just a few hours with me in the trade room for free, right, than any other paid membership or paid chat room you're going to go into. So take me up on the offer. Grab your free pass, and I'll see you tomorrow afternoon in my trade room, and I'll show you guys how we use this newsletter every evening to make consistent profit almost every day we trade. And of course, last but not least, the third thing I want you to remember is follow me over here, the lower left-hand corner, right above my ugly mug. You're going to see the name and the email spot there. Sign up for our nightly newsletter mailing list. That way you'll always get an email from me every time I send out the newsletter. I promise I will not waste your time. You're going to love what you get in your inbox every evening around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Alrighty? Now that you know the drill, follow that link below the video. If you're watching this on the YouTube page, go over to Sideways Markets. Below today's video, download today's charts, join the free pass, and register for your nightly newsletter mailing list. And while you're here, you can check out the rest of the plethora of information we have on one of the most active and just jam-packed with free information, our trading blog. Let's get started. Moving forward here, what happened today in these markets? Well, I'm not sure if you recall this, but if you rewind the tape and go back and watch last night's newsletter, what did we talk about last night on crude? Last night, my exact words were, don't be surprised if we're balanced and trading, my exact words, we're trading between 104 and 105. So I was almost exactly right. Went all the way to 104.81 down to 104.17. So bottom line, we saw exactly what we had kind of anticipated for today. Now, I was pretty surprised. We got a little bit of a muted reaction to that inventory number today. Very obvious right now that crude is looking for something. They're looking for something. We saw some violence kind of spark up here in Iraq this morning. That was on headline news. It's almost like everybody's forgotten about the whole Ukraine shenanigans, right, between Putin and the Ukrainians. So it's very easy for us right now to think, what is keeping this thing from moving? Well, remember, right now we came out from last Friday. Zoom back out here. If I zoom out on this chart, this big jump up. And so we had 4 sessions in a row. There's Monday, there's Tuesday, and of course here's Wednesday. So it looks like, again, we finished the session right where we finished today on Monday. We opened the session right where we finished Tuesday afternoon, and we closed right in the same spot. Volume is all piled up here at 104. So clearly 104.40, 104.35, 104.50. This area right here is clearly, right, that's where we find value right now. So clearly crude's waiting on something. Complete inside day. We never even flirted with the previous highs or previous lows. We stayed completely tied down to that 104.40. I can't change it. So if we continue to see things like this tomorrow, we're buying lows, we're selling highs. If we continue to see this range-bound market, we've got to trade accordingly, right? We can't force this market to trend higher or lower. So if we open up right in the same range tomorrow morning, unless we see something come out of this Red Star news tomorrow, we're going to assume we're going to have a very similar situation on Thursday morning. Now, I can't predict tomorrow. We got a bunch of news starting this evening, going into London, and of course, we have in the U.S. tomorrow. We'll talk about what's on schedule for tomorrow in just a few moments. So we got some potential fireworks coming here. 63, 64 ticks a range today. When we have a narrow range today, we usually have a wide range tomorrow. So we'll be hoping for a nice big move tomorrow. As you can see, though, very small range, open right in the middle, tried to go higher, right? No love at 105. Tried to go lower. No love at 104. We sit here at 104.40, right? Really, the only thing I can speculate right now is that this crude is looking for something else to spark this market moving higher or lower. Until then, we're going to make our profit on crude buying lows and selling highs. Once I pick up on a trending environment, it might be tomorrow, it might be Friday, it might be next week. It's one of the beauties of being a day trader. I don't need this market to trend. If it wants to keep going sideways like this, we'll buy the lows, we'll sell the highs of that range, and we'll be looking for those reversals tomorrow morning in our live trade room. Now, obviously, going lower here, we got some magnets, right? We got the prior week high, 103.69. We got this unfilled gap, 103.46 at the high, 103.07 at the low. As we go lower, we get the prior week close and the prior week open, and then all the way down is the prior week low. So we have quite a bit of wide open space if we start to drift lower here. I had this big jump up last week. So we're hoping that we're going to see some big moves here coming soon on crude. But again, if we don't, be prepared for a range-bound market tomorrow if this continues into the end of the week. I don't think it will. We get some pretty big news in store for tomorrow. So stick around, and I'm going to show you guys what our strategies are going to be for trading crude tomorrow morning. So we know a balanced day today, very, very similar to exactly what we talked about, what we're expecting to see in the markets yesterday. Oh, hold on one second here. Bring me back there. Wonderful. Moving forward here. Now let's grab the gold. We move from the crude now to the gold. And on the gold, we talked about this last night in the newsletter. We saw a bullish move higher yesterday. We closed above the prior week high. If you remember, the volume on gold was the big clue. The volume was up near the highs yesterday, right? We talked about that last night in the newsletter. So we went into the day today thinking that we had a bullish market personality, and that's exactly what happened. We gapped up, couldn't keep it going though. stumbled here back below the previous high of day, 63.8, and of course finished the day pretty much right where we left off yesterday. So we're definitely not bearish yet, because you can see the volume here on gold is still weighted towards the highs, right? We're still up around that high from Tuesday. So I'm definitely not going to go out and say we're bearish, because we're above the prior week high. The volume is still near the highs of the week here, but we definitely took a little bit of a stumbling block today on the gold. Now, it might be a little bit strange why we didn't go higher here, but hold on tight. I have another chart for you this evening, and that second chart is going to show you the strategies we have for tomorrow, and that's going to show you we got some resistance overhead on our slower anchor charts. So we do have some resistance to look for here overhead. As we go higher here, though, I've got 1268, right? A couple levels overhead here, 1268.2 and 1280.5. Those are going to be major swing levels if you go back in time here, right? Those are major swing levels from prior days in the past. So 1280.5 and 1268.2 are levels as we go higher. If we collapse here tomorrow morning, keep an eye on 1253.5, keep an eye on 1246.9, and I would love to think we make it all the way down to the prior week low, but probably not 1240.2, possibly later on this week. As you can see here, though, another very narrow range. Crude was a very narrow range. Gold also a very narrow range. Clearly, this chaotic world that we live in right now has traders wondering what's the next step. And so clearly we're still bullish, right? But barely. Another day like this, and we may find ourselves below that prior week high, and all of a sudden now we're back to being bears again. So bullish for the time right now. Opened higher, couldn't keep it higher, but kept it above that prior week high. And again, just like crude oil, this gold market looks like it's waiting on something, right? We're just waiting on something. So if we continue to see range-bound markets like this, you know what we're doing, right? Buying lows, selling highs, okay, treating this range-bound market the way it should be treated. So be aware of that tomorrow for gold. Moving forward here, taking a look here now. Moving forward here now, we move finally to the mini Russell. So crude had a very narrow range. Gold, very narrow range. Russell, a third narrow range here today. Boy, this does not happen very often. None of the markets gave us very big moves today, right? Again, like I said before, it was a relatively sleepy, sloppy day. Very clear that these markets are waiting on something right now. So when we see sloppy days like this, when we see range-bound, narrow ranges, we know we're not going to try to force trending or breakout moves. We're going to buy the lows, sell the highs, right? Try to follow that trend on the long-term anchor charts. But boy, right now, though, we're definitely seeing balance here in these markets. Look at this Russell. 90 ticks of range today. We can see we're definitely grinding lower. And if you remember from beginning of this week, we were expecting both crude and Russell to move lower, right? Crude's been doing it inch by inch. So has the Russell. The Russell's made a little bit more of a move lower, but boy, it's like pulling teeth to get this thing to drop. If you remember from last night, we were hoping to get below this previous low here at 62s, and we were thinking, look out below, we're going right to that prior week open, but guess not, right? We still have this sticky price action here on the Russell. Now, if you were to read the news headlines today, everybody's saying, well, investors are taking profit. We're seeing some consolidation here after equities went to all-time highs last week. But boy, we got to get something's got to light a match here, light this fuse here and get these markets moving again. Because very slow again today, 90 ticks, narrow range, and you can barely even see this thing. All I can see here is this move lower, right? So it's very easy to see we're going lower. This has been pretty much what we expected to have happen, but I would have thought this is going to come a lot faster this week. And by now, I would have thought we already made the pullback and we'd already be looking for those highs again, right? That's what I kind of expected this week, but it has been slow, right? Monday was a fantastic day, but yesterday, grinding sideways. Today, grinding sideways, right? A little bit of a bearish, push to it. We finally got below Monday's lows. So we're definitely on the bearish side right now. but we closed right back on top of that prior week close. You'll notice we've got two levels right here that are really, really important. And you can see we're getting stuck in the mud right around them. Now, this chart doesn't do a lot of justice for this, because when I show you guys the next chart, you're going to see why we're stuck in the mud here. All right, we get a little bit of support. We're kind of latching on for dear life right now. A little bit of support on the anchor chart. I want you to see, though, what happened today, though. Very narrow range. And again, usually a narrow range the following day will result in big, big moves. Wasn't the case today. So we are due for some fireworks here later on this week, or at the end of this week here, for the Russell. We get some big news tomorrow. Hopefully that will be what gets us started. Open lower. We close back in the middle. Volumes in the middle. You know, the two-day relationship here is sideways, but it is bearish, right? We're getting lower lows. We're getting lower highs. And again, you can see this big drop-off. I mean, it gets pretty easy, pretty fast, if we can just simply catch a move lower, right? We got 1135.9 just begging us down here. That's a huge move, right? Over 300 ticks lower back to that prior week open. So we really look forward to finally seeing this kind of frozen price action thaw out here as the week develops. But clearly, it is very, very obvious. The buyers from last Friday's non-farm payroll on crude, on gold, on Russell, it's very clear their eyes were a little bit bigger than their belly, right? They got a little bit too aggressive there, and now you can see trying to figure out, okay, who grabs control? Are the buyers going to take this thing and revisit those highs at 1180? Or do those sellers grab hold and bring us back down to the prior week open, 1135, the prior week low at 1116? If you remember my words last night, I said if we don't see these buyers pick this thing up and run with it here soon, we are going to end up collapsing by the end of the week. So we're just waiting for that collapse right now. If we don't see these buyers grab hold, we are going to see eventually here, towards the end of the week, they're going to give up on it. And this thing's going to tumble all the way back to where we began. So we may not have got some big moves today, maybe not yesterday, but get ready here as this week continues. It can't keep doing this for much longer. So we're definitely looking forward to some fireworks as we go. Now, let's now transition from what happened today to what's happening tomorrow. Today, we saw narrow ranges. We had quite a bit of news in the overnight session, but no real major news except for inventories on crude oil this morning. So we still have yet to see any big red star news, any big catalysts, right, to get this price action moving in the U.S. session. Let's get ready for tomorrow by checking out tomorrow morning's news. Now, we don't have to wait for tomorrow morning. We actually have major news coming out with basically the same report as our jobs report. We get the labor force survey tonight coming out of Australia. This is the same report that we saw earlier today, right, from Great Britain. So we saw some great moves in the London session overnight, but not a lot of movement in the U.S. session. That will probably change for tomorrow. But we don't need to wait for tomorrow morning. We've got 9:30 p.m. coming out of Australia, the labor force survey, which is basically the same thing as our non-farm payrolls. So you won't have to wait very long this evening to get some good fireworks firing off for the Asian traders out there and, of course, the European traders. Then we fast forward 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Red Star news coming out of the EU. Industrial production. You know what I always say. Manufacturing is some of the most important news you're ever going to see. Industrial production, it ties right in with manufacturing, and this is going to be a great leading indicator for future retail sales, housing starts, things like that. So industrial production tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., be ready for that if you're a European-based trader. And you may have to sit on hands a little bit tomorrow morning until you get to that 5 o'clock news, but be ready for those fireworks around that 5 a.m. news. Then we jump down to the U.S. We go into the U.S. session tomorrow morning. We've got big Red Star news at 8:30. We've got two pretty important news events tomorrow. We've got jobless claims, we've got retail sales, and then we got import-export prices. All three of these news reports are pretty important. They're very important. But you can see, though, the 8:30 jobless claims and 8:30 retail sales, those are going to be marked as Red Star news. So be ready for a relatively, right, we got some big news tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. I'll be in my trade room looking for the reaction. and I'm excited to be trading it with you guys tomorrow morning. Moving forward, we got 10 o'clock news tomorrow. Business inventories. Not the biggest news event of the day, but definitely something to keep the price action moving, right? That should be another shot in the arm at 10 o'clock to push us into the lunchtime session. So we have news at 5 a.m., 8:30 a.m., and 10 a.m. You really can't ask for much better than that. The 5 a.m. news should get us started in the pre-market in the U.S. tomorrow. The 8:30 news will keep us going, and then, of course, 10 o'clock will help us finish off the morning. So we'll definitely be excited to finally see some major news. We haven't seen any major news in the U.S. session ever since last Friday's non-farm payroll. So it's been almost, right, it's been about 2/3 of a week. So we're definitely excited to get some big news coming out for you guys tomorrow morning. If you're a natty gas trader, you get natural gas tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. I'm not much of a natural gas trader myself personally, so just be aware of that for tomorrow. Now that you know the news on the schedule for tomorrow, and you know what time to be ready for those fireworks, now let's get ready for what trading opportunities we're going to see tomorrow. The markets can move in 3 directions: up, down, and sideways. We have 3 different possible scenarios every day we trade. It's my job as a coach to make sure that you are prepared for those. One of the reasons why our students see tremendous amounts of success is because I'm not just giving our students a simple indicator and, of course, a set of rules. I'm preparing them. What if price goes higher? What if price goes lower? What if price goes sideways? That way, there's no possible way that tomorrow is going to catch us off guard. Let's start first with gold futures. Here's my 89 anchor. It's a very slow chart time frame. That way I can prepare for everything tomorrow morning. As you can see here on gold, we have some significant resistance that we're running into right now, right around that 1262 area, 1261. Now the goal here on the gold is to be selling long term, but we are still waiting for this thing to push lower. It keeps grinding higher. Now right now, I'm looking for selling opportunities long term at 69.3 and 76 even. So we got 69.3, 76 even, 85.6. Okay, those are going to be the best places for me to sell short. In the meantime, though, we have buying opportunities in the short term. So long term right now on gold, we are bearish. But you know me. I'm pretty picky, right? I'm pretty picky about where I get short. I want to sell at a premium price. So I'm willing to stay patient and wait to sell the 69.3, the 76 even, the 85.6, right? To name a few. And then my targets down bottom will be at 35.5, 28.3, and 07.1. All right, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer here, though, for that long-term selling opportunity up at 69.3. Now, if I add this to all my charts, you'll see what we have next. Keep that number in the back of your mind, 69.3. There it is right there, 69.3. So that's what we're hunting for. And as you guys know, I've been bullish on this gold all week here because we broke above all of the key moving averages. And now all we've needed is to get price to pull back. And this has been almost impossible, not just on gold, on crude, and on Russell as well. So we want to be ready for, well, all 3 scenarios. So let's take a look. What if price goes higher? If price pushes higher, what am I doing? Well, I'm free of all my key moving averages. We're making higher highs, higher lows. So if price moves higher tomorrow, I will be looking for wave patterns and other buying opportunity patterns up to our first target at 66.7. Second target will be 69.3. The runner target will be up at 71.3. So I've given you guys 3 easy profit targets, 6.7, 9.3, and 1.3. If we go higher, we'll be looking for buying opportunities right away on gold and taking our profit at the levels listed above. If we go sideways, I'm going to mark up my high, I'll mark up my low, and I will trade the sideways range, buying the lows and selling the highs. I'll use reversal patterns at the lows and at the highs. And if you'd like to learn all of my favorite reversal patterns, come join me as a student, and we'll go over all the reversal patterns tomorrow morning as we're watching this market go from top to bottom. Third scenario. The third scenario is, what if price goes lower? If price moves lower, I'm going to be looking for a turnaround at 1257.9. If we make the turn, I will then start buying. If we do not make the turn, I'll continue to wait. We'll test the 1253.4. At that point, same thing. I'm going to wait for it to make a turn, and once it makes that turn, I'll then begin to buy. Now, here's where it gets a little bit difficult, because once we get below the next range, that's when I'm going to start thinking about selling short. So we got one last scenario here. If it keeps going lower, I'm going to look for a turn at the third and final zone here, 1252.9 and 1249.9. But once I get below this, that's when now we start selling off. I'm going to use these levels here as a target, 1245.6 to 1243.1. That will be a target for my short. So I'm looking bullish here on gold until I get below that 1249.9. As we go lower, I'm looking to buy these key levels of support. And I will do so until I get below the 1249.9. Then it's off for the races, selling short, because remember, we have that long-term anchor chart that reminds us that right now we are short-term bullish and long-term bearish. Difficult to tell what tomorrow brings because, again, we haven't seen a lot of consistency. We haven't seen a lot of personality this week. So we're still waiting to see that personality pick up here on gold. We shall see what tomorrow brings. But at least we know now, everyone who's listening right now and watching our newsletter is prepared for whatever comes your way tomorrow. How about the mighty mini Russell? Talk about disappointing. We've been waiting for this market to pull back to the 1149, 1150 area all week. And it's just sitting here taking its sweet old time. Doesn't this Rusty know that we want to make some more money this week? Yeah, maybe not, right? Apparently the Russell doesn't have the same sense of priorities as we do, I guess. But we've been waiting on this thing all week here. It was easy buying this thing going up on Friday and Monday. But now the difficult part has been waiting patiently for price to come back down and give me a chance to get long again. As you can see right now, we are well, again, overbought. Probably not the best way to describe it. Overbought's not really a term that we like to use. But it's definitely priced at a premium. I don't want to buy at a premium. I want to buy this bad boy down at a discount. So what I'm waiting for right now is I'm waiting for price to pull back. And then again, once I see the turn, then I know I've got it right where I want it so I can buy it longer term. Now, this means that in the short term, we have short-term selling opportunities. But that's not going to last very long once we head down, run into this 1248, 1148, 1145, and 1140 half. So the plan is that if and when we get down to this location, now is when I'm going to grab, after I see the reversal, we'll start buying at this 1250 area, right? I've got some great symmetry support there, 1250 area. So all we need to do long term here is get this price to pull back. So what's keeping it from pulling back? Well, let's take a look. Now that we know more about the environment, you can see this darn moving average cloud is what's keeping us from dropping. Now, if you recall, we thought for sure get below this level on Tuesday. That will result in a drop. No? Okay. How about get below that level? No, that didn't do it either. We can definitely see this channel here. And if you project out those lows, you're going to see some targets here for your shorts. All right? So we definitely have some opportunities here to sell short right now on the Russell. But as I keep reminding you, though, the long-term trend is bullish. So we're going to continue to be buyers here in the long term. In the short term, though, we are just hung up right now at this 1165 area. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised that we didn't see more aggressive profit taking. We chopped around a little bit on Tuesday, but I'm very surprised that it didn't just fall out of bed and head right back to 1150. So all we can do now is simply be ready for, what was it again? Price going higher, price going lower, or price going sideways. So what happens if price goes higher? If price goes higher, remember, we have a bullish long-term trend. I'm going to get right to buying. I have a target above at 75.9 and 78, as well as 1180. If price pushes higher, we will gladly start buying again. All right? It's not ideal. I would love to be down at 1150 and buy. A lot more reward built into that move. But again, if it decides to go higher here tomorrow, we will jump right in and start buying those pullbacks and follow that long-term bullish trend. If price goes sideways, we're going to mark up the high, we're going to mark up the low, and we're going to trade this as a range-bound sideways market. If price trades sideways, I'm going to trade it as a sideways market. I'm not going to try to force this thing to break out. I'm going to use my old bean. I'm looking for reversals at the highs, reversals at the lows. So if we trade sideways like we did again today, I'm looking for reversal patterns. I'm not looking for breakouts. I'm not looking for trending patterns. And what if price goes lower? Well, if price goes lower, that would make a lot of sense, right? Because of what we've seen so far this week. If we go lower here, I've got easy ability here to sell short. The only problem I run into, though, is I've got targets below me here now at 58.3 and 54 even. So as we're selling short tomorrow morning, if we catch a bearish run tomorrow morning, as we're selling short either overnight or tomorrow morning, just be careful not selling directly into the 1158.3 or the 54 even. All right? If you can get into a trade before that, though, don't be afraid to hold on to that target all the way down to 1150. We got great support down 1150, but we do have some small speed bumps here on the way down at 58.3 and 54. Again, the best move is going to be selling short down, taking your profit at the 1150 area, and then if we can see it start to move higher, we'll then start to look at buying opportunities then at that time. So, price goes higher, I'm buying. Price goes sideways, I'm defining that sideways range, I'm looking for reversals. If price goes lower, I can start selling short, but I have to be aware of the speed bumps at 58.3 and 54 even on the way down to that main target at 1150 even. So we're definitely shooting for 1150 right now on Russell. But again, the personality this week has been, well, it's definitely left a lot to be desired. We haven't seen markets like this in quite some time, so it definitely tells us that whoever's participating out there clearly lacking a little bit of that either bullishness or bearishness or just conviction overall, right? A very balanced and a very cautious market personality what we're seeing right now. Moving forward here, last but not least, over to the black gold, the Texas Tea, the crude oil futures. We can see we are bearish in the long term here. Now, just like last week, if you recall last week, we were waiting for price to pull back to get a buy. It pulled back last week right to our target zone for the buy last Friday morning. Now the same scenario. Making new highs here, we'd like to pull back again so we can get a better opportunity to buy. Now crude oil. We had some big news that came out of Iraq this morning. We've got, of course, continue to hear of violence coming out of Iraq. So we get some geopolitical things that are definitely keeping us on our toes right now as far as trading crude oil goes. We're going to be listening in to the news feed tomorrow morning and keep hearing those sound bites coming out of the Middle East. And we're going to try to pick up on how the reaction is going here for tomorrow morning. So tough to tell what that news will mean for us tomorrow, but we're going to be listening in closely to see what that news looks like. Anytime we talk about the Middle East, hurricane announcements, weather-related stuff, we know that we're dealing with crude, and we know there's going to be a bunch of reaction out there from speculators pushing prices higher. So 105 definitely seems to be a comfortable level here for crude traders right now. We've been stuck around 104.49. You can see, though, we got a big trend line here acting as resistance. I've got some major buy zones down below me if we can pull back. And of course, don't forget, I've got some targets up top here, 106.56, 107.93, and 108.83 if these buyers start taking off. So we're definitely bullish here in the long term on crude. And we got some great targets waiting for us up top there, starting at the high of this trend line, and of course, 106.56. Moving forward here right now, though, we now move over to our faster anchor chart, the 32 anchor, and this now gives us a lot more, well, it gives us some specifics now that we can start trading with. As you can see, we're above all the key moving averages. We're clearly bullish, and this should look a lot like that Russell chart. This is almost identical to what the Russell is going through right now. We made this big jump up last week, right? Last Friday, here we are. Right, we jump up Friday into Monday, Tuesday goes sideways, Wednesday goes sideways, and it just looks like bleh. Not a lot of personality, not a lot of conviction. Like I said earlier in the newsletter, it's definitely apparent that crude traders are waiting on something. So until we see these crude traders start to catch a bid or sell this thing off here, we've got to treat this as a range-bound market. So let's get ready for all three scenarios. Price goes higher, price goes lower, price goes sideways. Now, as you look at this anchor chart, we made new highs, right? New highs, higher lows. We're definitely bullish. If price goes higher into tomorrow morning, all right? If price goes higher tomorrow morning, I'm looking at buying this crude, but I can't buy until I get through this 104.83 to 104.94. Okay, so make sure you get through that area before you start aggressively buying here on crude. All right. Another option, of course, would be to get in long earlier, take some profit at 104.83, and then hold on to that runner. And the runner target above you here, we got a couple targets here. First of all, we got that trend line, right? The trend line you can see comes over from that previous swing high. So the trend line we drew over, that's definitely going to be one target. Another target will be the top of the channel. And a third target, yep, there's that 106.56. It seems like it's a mile away from us right now, but tomorrow morning we gap up tomorrow morning, 105.50. Then we're only 100 ticks away. We're only $1 away, which is very easy to do if you're familiar with crude oil futures. So if we go higher tomorrow, we're definitely bullish here long term right now on crude, especially with that geopolitical news coming out of the Middle East here this afternoon. So we'll be ready for buyers stepping in tomorrow morning. We will be locked and loaded getting up to that 106.56 area if we get those buyers to start kicking some butt. What if price goes sideways? If price goes sideways, we already have our range marked up. So if price goes sideways, I'm buying 103.94 and I'm selling 105.06. Very simple. If price trades sideways, we're not going to try to force it. We're going to adapt to the market personality, and we're going to trade sideways range-bound markets as well. So if we go sideways tomorrow, I'm going to buy lows and sell highs using what? Using a reversal pattern. Now, what if we go lower? Well, the first thing is, if we go lower, I've got two easy spots here to look for reversals. So if we go lower here, the first thing I'm looking for is for a turnaround right below that 104. And then we'll be bringing it right back up again. So if we go lower, I'm still looking here for a buy. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, right? But I would rather have price go lower because, again, remember, this big jump up, it tells me we're bullish, but I don't want to be buying at a premium. I want to buy at a discount. I want to buy when the price pulls back. So as we go lower, I've got buys here at 103.94, 103.69. And then, of course, again, just like Russell, we've got some great symmetrical support, 103.45. I've got 103.33, 102.92, and then all the way down the lows here at 102.34 to 101.99. Now, tough to tell, again, how far we move tomorrow. This is crude we're talking about. But one thing we know for sure is that long term we are bullish. We have no reason to think anything else. But we definitely know, though, that we've seen some sleepy personality ever since Monday afternoon. So be ready for anything. You know what the plan is if you go higher. Just don't buy into 104.83 to 104.94. Get me above that area, and then we're buying, right? Or we go sideways, mark up the highs, mark up the lows. I'm selling 105.06. I'm buying 103.94. Don't go in the middle. Reversals at the highs and lows. If price goes lower, that would be obviously the ideal situation. We've been waiting for price to go lower all week. Ideally here, we buy 103.94, 103.69, right? That will be the easiest ones. We break lower, I'm going to buy the symmetrical support. I'm going to buy the 103.45, 103.33, 102.92, right? We have the low of this channel. That will also be a spot to be a buyer. So as price goes lower, I'm just using that lower price to get myself in a position to be a buyer, all right? Because we're not in a downtrend right now on the anchor chart. All right, boys and girls, that wraps up our nightly newsletter here for this evening. A Wednesday evening. We're excited to see some fireworks tomorrow morning. Before I let you guys go, though, don't forget to join our newsletter. Don't forget to join our free trial. If you head over to SchoolOfTrade.com, you can join our free trial right on the homepage here. It's not easy to miss, right? It's pretty difficult to miss that. All I need is your name and your email address, and we'll register for the free trial. And I promise you guys, you're going to learn more in that free trial in a week than you will years of reading books, watching YouTube videos, or attending other so-called chat rooms. We offer 3 levels of membership: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. On top of that, you got your free trial to give us a test drive. Give me a call in the office. Send me an email at jj@schooloftrade.com. I got Skype. And don't forget, guys, make sure you come see me tomorrow morning as a brand new student at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, because I'm going to teach you guys how to use these charts from today's newsletter to make profit in any market environment. My name is Joseph James. My wife Megan and I, 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, we created SchoolOfTrade.com to be a different place for traders of all kinds from all over the world to kickstart their career in an effective and safe way. Our goal was to be the very best place for a new trader to learn and earn, and we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary here at School of Trade. We must be doing something right. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning in the trade room. I look forward to inviting you to attend our trade room tomorrow afternoon with our free pass. And don't forget to explore the blog at Sideways Markets. Signing off now from our corporate headquarters in sunny Los Angeles, California. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning in the live trade room, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We open up. And you guys have a great Thursday evening. Go Kings, go. I can't believe we might sweep the Rangers. You know, I'd rather win the Cup back here in L.A. in our home ice. But, hey, I'll take a sweep of the Rangers any day of the week. So go Kings, go. I want to bring that Stanley Cup back to the West Coast again. Have yourselves a great evening. We'll see you guys in the morning. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.